Hi, the new Eurocomics episode is on the air, and today we'll be talking about the Atlantis Menace, the Atlantis Truth, a new Blake and Mortimer adventure by Yves Sente and Peter van Dongen, based on Edgar Pierre Jacobs' work, in which Philip Mortimer travels to Scotland to study ancient volcanic lands and test their geothermal viability while witnessing terrible phenomena affecting the entire North Sea, including a massive tsunami. And it's an honor to have artist Peter van Dongen on this channel. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hi, Paulo. I'm good. In Dijon, I'm in France.
Okay, France. How is your stay in France going promoting the album? Are you already speaking some French?
Un petit peu. No, it's nothing. No, I'm mostly in English, and Yves Saint, he's doing the most interviews, of course. And of course, I'm there for on the stage. I add my own scenes and the things, how I'm doing it in English. But I can understand French, as long as it is in a context in French about this book. I can understand where Yves is talking about, or what kind of questions are asked to him in French. I can
And you
understand, but I cannot speak.
and you will answer in English. Okay.
Yeah, I answer in English, and sometimes it will be translated. Another time, it depends on the public. When everybody is speaking English, nobody will translate it. Why should you?
Okay, thank you so much. This isn't your first Blake and Mortimer album, but how was it for you to continue the artwork for Atlantis Mystery, a Blake and Mortimer adventure from 1957?
Well, the previous three Blake and Mortimer albums, I made it together in a collaboration with the Dutch comic artist Teun Berserik. But after three albums, we decided to quit as a duo, just to do our own Blake and Mortimers. So this Ameaça Atlante, the Atlantic thread, it's my first Blake and Mortimer album. I do it by my own. So that's already an achievement for me to do all the 62 pages just from scratch to the last version in color, all by my own. So despite the previous original book of Jacobs from 57, because this is a follow-up. So that's another story, of course. So it was for me, it's when Yves Saint asked me what I thought about this idea of him already back in 2018, that he had in his mind to make a follow-up from the what's in it, the L'Enigma de Atlantide, the first one.
Atlantis
He
Mystery.
asked me that. Yeah, the French edition. So he made this proposal to me if I was willing to do a follow-up of this book. And I said back then in 2018, of course. And back then it was still, he wrote it for Teun and me as a duo still. But then we had the break, Teun and I, 4 years ago after Le Dernier Espadon, after The Last Swordfish. So then the book written by Yves Saint, this book, became my own project.
Okay, and what was your biggest challenge in this album?
Well, they're technical stuff. I'm always a little bit afraid of technical drawings, cars, like that. And that's not my strongest point. And
Because
luckily,
Berserk did that before.
he
Yes
did
or not?
Yes, he did in the Le Vallée des Immortels. He had pages with cars, but I had pages with cars too. But he corrected my cars. So he had my pencil sketches of my pages. And when he saw that a car of mine was not there was something not right, he corrected my cars. And for now, I had only, in the whole story of this new book, I have maybe only maybe 5 cars or something. And at the start of the first pages, you can see a couple of cars. And therefore, Teun assist me. He sent him a sketch of a car of page 1, the old Mercedes, the old timer. And he corrected some little details on my pencil sketch. But the biggest challenge was mostly just to do it on your own. And I had 2.5 years for the black and white pages. So that was, well, that was a challenge. And the half year after, the 2.5 years was in scanning, do corrections, scanning, and then do the coloring. But comically wise, the drawings, yeah, maybe, well, the spaceships and everything, it's technical, but well, that's I can do that. And especially when it's fantasy, you're just like those spaceships, you're just free. And I inspired these spaceships on Flash Gordon, because I know, of course, Jacobs, he was a fan of Flash Gordon. Yes. So the spaceship, which you see on, I think in the book, it's page 25, the huge spaceship, red spaceship on the bottom of the sea, North Sea.
Yes,
that's inspired by spaceships from Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it your favorite album from Jacobs? Atlantis Mystery, l'Enigme de l'Atlantide.
Yeah, l'Enigma de Atlantida. It's not my favorite. My favorites are, well, that's not very original, but it's the Yellow Mark and the Great Mystery of the Pyramids. Those two. And SOS Meteora, it's also not a favorite. And then this Enigma de Atlantida. Of course, that is in its time, a good book, but I studied just now much better when I was making this follow-up. And before, it's mostly the Yellow Mark and the others.
Okay, and how do you do to imitate? I don't know if I can use this word, to imitate perfectly the drawings from Jacobs.
Well, it's imitating. That's how you start, right? As a comic artist or musician or whatsoever in art, you will imitate firstly your heroes. In my case, it was concerning comics. It was R.J. Bob and Bobette from Willy van der Steen and Jacobs when I was later. So I started as a comic artist with imitating my heroes. So and what I do now, I know I'm making Blake and Mortimer, and of course I work in a ligne claire, clear line style, inspired by R.J. and Jacobs, but still I have my own handwriting too. But for me, it's just the fun when you make this album, the follow-up from the original from 57, just to make it as it looks like an original book from the 1950s. So I have to get as near to Jacobs, and you call it imitating. But I'm just trying to get as near to Jacobs, to his drawings, and the atmosphere and the feeling what you have as a reader, to get this in my fingers, to getting under the skin of Jacobs, to do it as he did.
So I think it's
it's a matter of understanding what he is doing, how he is using his brushes, his ink pen. I'm studying his pencil rough sketches, because there are nowadays many publications where you can see the rough pencil sketches of this album, The Mystery of Atlantic. You can see rough pencil sketches of Jacobs himself. So I can study them and understand how he is drawing these figures. So I imitated, I copied that first. Before I started with this new book, the first thing I did, I was just, as you said, just copying, not tracing, but copying his rough pencil sketches to get this thing, what he's doing, to get it in my own hand. And then
Okay.
that's the way I started. And then when you start with reading the script scenario, then you got images and how you will do it. And then it's a technical and thing. And yeah, just as a director of a film, just to make this script scenario as a movie on paper. That's what I having in mind.
Okay, but I think it's almost spiritual because your drawings are absolutely perfect. Congratulations.
Well, merci, obrigado.
De nada. Whose idea was it to use graphic elements from Yves Salante's the Comet of Carthage in this adventure? It seems you had to ask Challenge Widow for permission for distribute, didn't you? I found at least one. This great wave.
Well, if you see the start of the original Enigma da Atlântida, there's a wave too, but it's only a small panel, because in a flashback, it will tell, the Atlantida will tell about the destroying of the world. And you see a huge tsunami, a big wave falling on an Atlantic city. And that's why Atlantic was sinking. But it's a small panel, so there is already a wave. But of course, the wave of Chaland, it's also in the back of my mind. But the other wave of the wave of the Japanese artist, the famous wave, what's his name? From the Japanese artist from the 19th century. I forgot his name. But no, it's more there's a rowboat, and the rowboat is called Lombard. But in Chaland's book, the same kind of boat, it's called Freddy Lombard. So I used those. Yeah, so that's the name of the boat in the book there behind you. And yeah, I used the same boat, rowboat, in my book on that page, on page, I think it's page 18 with the wave. And also the paneling, when the wave enters into the streets, you can see that from out the streets. And that's, if you see the page of Chaland, there's a similar kind of angle. When he shows the waves is coming into the French village, you see it from in between the houses. If you are standing there in the houses, you can see the wave coming to you in through the streets. So that's an angle I used from this page. But at the other hand, this page with the round where you see Mortimer carrying this girl, yeah, that's actually, the page is also an answer on Jacobs himself, almost the last page of The Secret of the Swordfish, where you can see Lhasa is bombed by the swordfish. The rockets are collapsing on another panel. And in between that, you see around a circle with this with a Tibetan ruler who's holding his arms like that in a circle. Mm-hmm. So it's an echo also to Jacobs, the original itself. It's the same structure, only a little bit different here used in the Lemanès Atlante. But it's the same kind of, well, tribute to Chaland and to Jacobs.
And it was your idea? Or?
Yeah, it's my idea, because I do the paneling. Yves Sente, he's writing the script. And for instance, on page 25, when you see this huge white panel, half of the page from this Atlantic spaceship, on the bottom of the North Sea. He wrote in the script, well, I want there, it should be half of the page, one panel, half of the page. So sometimes he gives instructions for the paneling, but it's really, really rare. All the let's say the director, the paneling and how the rhythm, it's all mine. I do the paneling, the storyboard. So
Okay.
so what, and I'm lucky I told to Yves as well, Yves Sente, you have copywriters, scenarists, when they're making their scenario, they're also already making a storyboard for the artist. And luckily, if Sante doesn't do that, in his script, he write only about each panel 1, panel 2, 3, 4, and mostly to 12. He made a description, what you need to see at least. His very wide, broad description with many details, and the narrative and the text. But it's only text. He doesn't say. Yeah, sometimes he said when there's a talking head conversation on a page, he says, just with a camera, just turn around everything. So I'm free just to turn around the whole room, and sometimes I'm adding other things what you can see in the text. Sometimes I show that, and that's my own interpretation. So for the paneling, I'm always do it myself, and I did already with the Dernier Espadon and La Vallée des Immortels. I do the paneling always, and that's I think the most important thing of the whole book. That's the storyboard.
Thank you. My niece bought the album in Portugal today, but it has two different covers. Is Portugal the only country that releases the book like this?
Well, there's the bibliophile edition in France and the Netherlands, and that's also another cover and another book printed on yellow paper. And in the bibliophile edition, there are 4 extra spread illustrations, and there's ex libris, and this ex libris, the drawing of this ex libris, is originally the drawing I made for the Portuguese edition, because the Portuguese edition is only the FNAC Portuguese edition for in 1,000 copies only, and it's belongs to the classic edition, the blue one, what you have behind you. But this Portuguese edition, I don't know. That's it. It already started with my previous Blake and Mortimer artists like Benoit or Aubin. They all had to make another special Portuguese FNAC edition, and it's
a black cover. It's a black cover.
Well, it's a black. You see, I can see there on the background. But you can see at the image I used, what you see there on the background of you see the red spaceships from the Atlantics on this cover. On the original, they are down into space. But this is seen on the cover. You can see they're small in the right corner. You can see Blake and Mortimer.
Yes.
But in the story of Yves Sente, on this follow-up, Ameaça Atlante, it's a flashback seen by Ulrich. So I made that scene from that Ulrich is witnessing the spaceships going to the So this is seen by on your back, seen by Blake and Mortimer. In the Portuguese edition, it's seen by Ulrich and Magon.
Are there already plans for a new Blake and Mortimer album with your drawings? And could there be one where you also would write the script?
There are plans. There are there is written already a new story by Yves Sente, but it's the first draft, as I understand, and it's not ready yet, but it's already written. But it will take some time. And your question, if I'm willing to write own Blake and Mortimer, I'm not really into that. It's if I'm writing a book, it would be a book for myself.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
You have a lot of books.
Well, I've not that many, but in a couple of last years, there are some books now, especially with Blake and Mortimer, of course. It's my fourth one. But for my own work, I have just a couple, only 4 or 5 books. So that's not really much, but to me, writing costs a lot of time for me. Making your own book like Rampokan, it cost me 13 years to make that happen.
I have it.
I know.
I have all your books here. All your books here.
except the Dutch, my debut. I don't think you have that.
No,
Theater of Mice.
I don't have it.
No, that's from 1990, and it's already sold out for years, and it's only in Dutch.
Oh, what a pity. Okay, thank you so much, Peter, for granting us this interview.
Yeah, you too.
We wish you much more success in your career.
Yeah. Merci, obrigado.
Thank you so much. By Jove.